In 1943, a German convoy transports a special group of Allied prisoners of war to a new prison camp in France. These prisoners, including British, Canadian, Scottish, American and Russian soldiers, are notorious for repeatedly escaping from other German camps. The Germans, having spent considerable resources recapturing these escapees, have created this high-security facility specifically for them. The camp's commander, Colonel von Luger of the Luftwaffe, meets with Captain Ramsey, the highest-ranking British officer among the prisoners. Despite having files showing that some prisoners have attempted up to 16 escapes, von Luger confidently declares that his camp is escape-proof. The Germans have taken an unusual approach. Instead of harsh conditions, they provide comfortable accommodations including shared huts, a library, sports facilities, and gardens. Prisoners are even allowed to keep their military uniforms. Von Luger hopes this humane treatment will encourage the prisoners to peacefully wait out the remainder of the war rather than attempting to escape. Despite von Luger's hopes for cooperation, the Allied prisoners immediately begin looking for escape opportunities, with Captain Ramsey asserting that attempting escape is a soldier's duty. The prisoners quickly start testing the camp's security through various schemes. They stage a fake fight as a distraction, allowing Australian flying officer Sedgwick and Polish pilot Danny to attempt blending in with Russian prisoners, while Scottish airman Ives tries hiding in garbage trucks. However, Colonel von Luger, familiar with every prisoner's face, quickly identifies and returns them to the camp without punishment, maintaining his lenient approach. American Captain Virgil Hiltz discovers a potential weakness, a blind spot between two watchtowers near the forest. He tests this by throwing a baseball and walking past a boundary wire to retrieve it. While his theory about the watchtower's blind spot proves correct, he learns a harsh lesson when ground guards catch him. Von Luger then reveals a crucial rule: crossing the wire of death results in immediate execution. As it's their first day, Hiltz and Ives are merely sentenced to the cooler, isolation cells meant to break prisoners' spirits. While in adjacent isolation cells, Hiltz shares his observation about the looser soil near the fence with Ives, a tunneling expert, and they begin planning an escape. Meanwhile, the camp receives a notable new prisoner, RAF squadron leader Roger Bartlett, known as Big X, a notorious escape organizer, who is brought in by Gestapo agents and an SS lieutenant. Bartlett soon meets with Captain Ramsey to discuss their situation. Upon arriving at the camp, squadron leader Bartlett discovers that many of Germany's most skilled escape artists, including several of his former collaborators, are imprisoned there. This presents a unique opportunity, leading him to call a meeting in the recreation hall where he proposes an ambitious plan, orchestrating the largest escape in history, involving 250 prisoners. His strategy includes digging 3 tunnels simultaneously, named Tom, Dick, and Harry, starting 30 feet deep under huts 104, 105, and the recreation hall, extending horizontally into the surrounding forest. The goal isn't just escape, it's to force the Germans to divert valuable military resources into searching for escapees rather than fighting at the front. The prisoners organize into specialized teams. Flight Lieutenant Henley serves as the scroungery for materials. Australian flying officer Sedgwick becomes the manufacturer of tools. Flight Lieutenants Danny and Willie are designated as the Tunnel Kings. Commander Eric develops a soil disposal system. Flight Lieutenant Griffith works as the tailor creating civilian clothes. And Flight Lieutenant Blythe handles forging documents, despite developing severe myopia from working by candlelight, with Henley stepping in as his guide. Meanwhile, Hiltz, now known as the Cooler King, and Ives are released from solitary confinement with their own escape plan involving a short tunnel near the camp's edge. Despite Bartlett's concerns about their plan potentially alerting guards and compromising the main tunneling operation, Hiltz remains adamant. Ives, mentally strained from 3 years of imprisonment, declares he'll risk death by crossing the wire if necessary. Bartlett reluctantly approves their attempt, but it fails, resulting in both men receiving 20 days in the cooler. While Hiltz copes well in solitary confinement, Ives' mental state deteriorates. Meanwhile, the main escape operation faces a significant challenge: the accumulation of dark, moist tunnel soil that contrasts noticeably with the dry, gray surface soil, threatening to reveal their activities. Eric devises an ingenious solution using specially designed pocket-lined garments worn under trousers, allowing prisoners to discreetly distribute the soil while others rake it into the existing ground during gardening activities. Although Colonel von Luger grows suspicious of the prisoners' sudden interest in gardening, his inspection reveals nothing thanks to their careful soil mixing. The escape preparations continue with various innovations. They create an air duct system for the tunnels, masking the metalwork noise with coordinated choir singing. Henley, the resourceful scrounger, manipulates a German guard named Werner by offering cigarettes and luxury foods, managing to steal his wallet containing valuable documents for forgery. When Werner later discovers the theft, Henley uses this leverage to blackmail him for additional escape materials, as Werner fears being sent to the Russian front if his superiors learn of his carelessness. Upon their release from solitary confinement, Hiltz meets with Bartlett but maintains his preference for a solo escape attempt, believing smaller teams have better chances of success. Though Bartlett expresses concern about Ives' deteriorating mental state, he supports Hiltz's plan while requesting he conduct reconnaissance of the surrounding area during his escape attempt. Hiltz declines this request but agrees to help acquire materials for the tunnel project. Given the progress of the tunnels, Bartlett eventually decides to focus efforts solely on Tom, ordering Dick and Harry to be temporarily shut down. During a 4th of July celebration where American prisoners are hosting a party with homemade potato moonshine, Colonel von Luger conducts a surprise inspection of the huts. The discovery of Tom tunnel occurs when a guard notices newly placed tiles under a water heater. This discovery proves catastrophic for the already unstable Ives, who, in his despair, attempts to climb the barbed wire fence in full view of the guards. Despite Hiltz's attempt to stop him, Ives is shot and killed. Following this tragic event, the prisoners redirect their efforts to Harry Tunnel. Hiltz, now cooperative with Bartlett's plan, deliberately gets captured after gathering crucial intelligence about the surrounding area, which is used to create escape route maps. As the tunnel nears completion, the night of the escape arrives. The prisoners, dressed in German civilian clothes and carrying forged documents, begin their escape through the tunnel in pairs. However, they encounter a serious setback when they discover the tunnel falls 20 feet short of the forest. Despite this, Bartlett orders the escape to proceed. Hiltz, the first to exit, develops a rope signal system to coordinate safe exits between guard patrols. Meanwhile, Danny experiences a claustrophobic episode at the crucial moment, but his partner Willie helps him overcome it. Ultimately, 76 prisoners, including Bartlett, successfully escape, aided by a coincidental Allied air raid on a nearby town. The escape operation is finally discovered when an impatient Griffith exits the tunnel at the wrong moment and is caught by the guards. After the escape is discovered, chaos erupts with some prisoners reaching the forest while others are captured. The escapees attempt various routes to neutral countries like Switzerland, Sweden, and Spain. Some attempts end tragically. Henley and Blythe steal a plane, but engine failure forces them to crash land, leading to Blythe's death by Nazi soldiers and Henley's surrender. Captain Bartlett is identified at a railway station by Gestapo agent Kuhn, prompting Eric to sacrifice himself in a shootout to allow Bartlett's escape. However, Bartlett is later captured by SS Lieutenant Steinach. Hiltz nearly reaches Switzerland on a stolen motorcycle but gets caught in barbed wire at the border. The aftermath is brutal. Most escapees are either recaptured or killed. In a particularly grim incident, one truck of British prisoners, including Bartlett, stops in a field where the men are executed under the pretense of attempting escape. In total, 50 escapees are murdered, while Henley and 10 others are returned to camp. Von Luger is removed from his command by SS Lieutenant Steinach for failing to prevent the escape. Only 3 prisoners successfully reach freedom. Danny and Willie make it to Sweden by rowing to the Baltic coast and stowing away on a merchant ship, while Sedgwick reaches Spain with help from French resistance fighters. The film concludes with Hiltz being returned to solitary confinement, where he resumes his familiar ritual of bouncing a baseball against his cell wall.